there, back up in that corner up there. It starts A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah, I only saw like a G and an I, no H.
Let's see. Somebody may have picked up the pile to look at them. I know there's lots of H's. Okay. G is on the table.
Oh, here they are.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I had a quick question.
Uh-huh.
I made an A on the last exam and an A on this exam. Do I have to take the next one?
No. Okay, so what you do is once you earn, your grade's going to be based on your top 2 scores, your clicker points, and your quiz points. If you have 270 points, you have the A. Don't take the final. That becomes the one that's automatically dropped. Okay?
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
sure. I'll announce that a couple times. Okay, ends are up here in case anybody's looking. Okay, I'm going to go over the top missed questions. All right, so this is just the overview of the class. I have the original 3 forms here. A little bit concerned that people missed questions that had been clicker questions. So I'm not really sure what is happening. It could be you're just totally not paying attention during clicker questions, but it's a real shame that I would give you a question, and if you missed it during clickers, you would miss it again on the exam. So scores were not as, I think there were some scores that were not as good on this exam, and I'm not really sure what's going on. Particularly troubling when I have a high percentage of people who miss a question that I'd already given to them in class as a clicker question. Also people missing things that I say, this is an exam question. I don't know what the issue seems to be people being very passive. You don't write anything down. You just sit, you don't have your notes out, you don't mark and say exam question. And I don't know if that's just a freshman thing or it's a UTSA thing, or the idea is you shouldn't passive in class. You shouldn't just sit there as if I'm pouring liquid into your ear. The very first day of class, I said there's no pipe going up the bottom of your seat into your body with this info. It requires you to engage. So I was a little bit concerned that when I say this is an exam question, nobody moves, nobody blinks, nobody does anything, and then people miss it on the exam. That's going to get worse and worse as you advance through your college career. So you don't want to be doing that. You want to be active. Sit there. Do something. Pay attention. Scribble on your notes. Draw something. Draw me. Draw a sketch of me. Go, ha-ha, she's her something or other. Her pants don't match, or her shoes don't match, which I did the other day. I had a suede and a leather shoe on. Nobody noticed, but it's too dark when I put them on. All right, so what I'm going to do here is, if you have test form B, it's number 3, A, 43, test form C, 43, what chemicals in cigarette smoke are carcinogens that increase the risk for lung cancer? Those are the nitrosamines. These are compounds that are only found in cigarette smoke, so it's actually not so much an issue with people who are smoking marijuana. And I explain what carcinogens mean. These nitrosamines also cause a problem if you chew tobacco, causing increased risk of cancer for throat, mouth, lungs. Okay. I explained this many times. The main cause of death during a heroin overdose is severe respiratory depression. This was a clicker question, so I'm surprised that so many people missed it. Either, I don't know if people aren't doing the clickers or they're not paying attention. So what happens is you stop breathing. You're not getting enough oxygen into your blood to support your brain. So you're blue. If you find somebody, they're blue. Put your ear to their chest. You hear that gurgling as fluid collects in their air sacs. They need help immediately. They need a heroin, they need an opioid antagonist like Narcan to save them. Okay, test form B is 14, A is 14, C is 14. Which of the following is not associated with cocaine overdose? Chest pain, yes. Strong heartbeat, yes. You feel like your heart's going to come out of your chest. Hyperventilation, yes. I was up here demonstrating it for you like I was having a cocaine overdose. Constricted pupils, that's very much a downer effect. Okay? So if you list, one of the ways to study is say, okay, can I name the symptoms of cocaine overdose? Rattle them off. Constricted pupils is not one of them. That's a side effect of downers. Okay, and that was also a clicker question. Which of the following drugs is a long-lasting opioid taken orally to reduce heroin craving and withdrawal? That's methadone. For heroin, you're on this 4 times a day, 6-hour cycle, because it's pretty rapidly a metabolized drug. Methadone, you can take once a day. It's long-acting. You don't get a buzz from it. You can probably go to the clinic once a day, get your pill. And it's trying to get people off of that extreme heroin cycle. Okay, B, number 27, A, number 27, C, number 47. This was also a clicker question. In 1960, the very first benzodiazepine became available. People have been stuck with barbiturates up until now. And the treatment of anxiety was changed forever. What drug was that? Was Librium. If you couldn't remember chlorodiazepoxide, you could remember Librium. Came out in 1960. 3 years later, its cousin came out, Valium, diazepam Valium. Okay. So I think people remember this as a clicker question, I believe. Okay. Okay. Test form B, number 44, A, number 4, C, number 34. To give someone a Mickey Finn in the late 1800s. It was a kind of a street name. I talked about people opening a ring and dropping stuff into people's drink to knock them out. What was that sedative? It was chloral hydrate. Formaldehyde was a failed attempt to help alcoholics. Phenobarbital, pretty recent. Barbiturate. Rohypnol, the date rape drug. In the 1800s, you wouldn't have Rohypnol. Remember, it's a benzodiazepine. Okay. A person going through heroin withdrawal will display which of the following symptoms? So you've got a list. What are heroin withdrawal symptoms? Diarrhea, bone and joint pain, clammy skin, goosebumps. You feel like you have the flu. So constricted pupils and constipation are side effects. So if you name the withdrawal symptoms, you're all set here. Remember, withdrawal symptoms are the opposite of what the drug does. Heroin gets rid of pain, so you have bone and joint pain. I also had some people miss, when was morphine first isolated from opium? What century does that occur? What century are all drugs refined from plants? 1800s. Do you remember me saying that multiple times? If you remember 1800s, so we had 1905, 1805, 1720, or something else. All you had to know, as my cue to you, as long as you know the 1800s, you're good. I still had people miss it. So I'm just trying to say, I give you clues in class. Nobody writes them down. I guess you have perfect memory or whatever. But I said, You don't have to remember specific dates. If it's anything about when something was refined or first maybe improved upon, it's the 1800s. That's when we first had the ability to do that. Okay? All right. So I will leave a little time for people to look at these. Of course, your PAR scores are yours to keep. If we go to your blackboard, just to remind you, you have your quizzes online. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted. Answer keys, here we are. So here's your different answer keys. You can sit later on when you have more time and carefully look at these, mark yours up so you know exactly what your scores are. If you look under clicker, you will also see that I have released the clicker 2 information. So your clicker 1 points were your clicker points that you accumulated for February. That could be a total possible of 12. Clicker 2 points were the points you accumulated for March. That's a total of 10. So that leaves April. You have a possible 8 points to earn in April, which will get you to your 30 points that you're allowed to count towards your point total for the grade. 30 points is about 10% of the possible 300 that you can count as class participation. So I want to go back on this and check here. If you go to Tools, this is a very useful thing for you. And you go to Calendar. In April, I know this isn't very big for you to see, but if you just recognize that you can do this on your own, you will see that here's your exam 2. Clicker points for April, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, and as of Monday, the 14th, you can get your 30 points. Monday, April 14th, you can accumulate your 30 points for clickers. Then I will have extra clicker sessions on the 16th, the 18th, the 21st, the 23rd, and the 25th, as I promised you. So they'll be worth a combination of either 2 points, 1 point, 1 point, 2 point, 1 point, 2 point. So I promised you that you don't have to worry if you forget your clicker one time or something like that. You'll have opportunities to fill in those extra points. Okay. So you will also see what I'll be providing you with is starting on April 20th, running through the 27th. I haven't marked it here. I will open up all the quizzes for people who have missed deadlines and have not completed the quizzes. Okay. So you'll see that, and I will make an announcement. I will send a blanket email information on that. You don't have to respond to that email. It's just going to be an announcement that I send out to everyone in the class via email. So from the 20th to the 27th, all of the questions will be open. Some people are defeating the purpose of the quizzes, which is to kind of get you into the book, complete the quizzes before you take an exam, so you have a better background and understanding of the drugs. I notice some people don't seem to be doing any of the quizzes. I guess they're going to wait until the 20th here. It's kind of defeating the whole purpose, whatever. So they'll all be open. So remember, on the 6th, your Chapter 5 quizzes are due. I'll open up the Chapter 6 quizzes over the weekend. You'll have Chapter 6 quizzes that will be due on the 13th. And that leaves one more quiz to bring us up to the total 70 points in quizzes that you have available to you. So I've got several options. I'm going to look through some information I have. It's not going to be on the exam, but I might do it. There's some interesting things in Chapter 7 about steroids that some people have been interested in terms of how exactly they produce their effects in the brain and in the body. So there might be a quiz that'll be, will be one more quiz that'll be opening up on the 20th. That's your last one. it'll be available, as all of them will be available during this week. So look at your point total. And let me help some people here. I've had a few questions. Right now, you can't really see this, but I can see it here. Let me just close this for a second here. Okay. For you guys, what you have so far as a possible total is 277. Okay, so that's what your total is. So you're going to have 8 more possible clicker points for April. You're going to have chapters 6, 15 more quiz points. And let's see. I'm missing something else. Chapter 6. Chapter 7. No, I guess that's it. And that gives you 300. So the reason your total isn't 300 right now is because we haven't posted those remaining clicker 3 clicker points, or the chapter 6 quiz 1 and 2, or the chapter 7 quiz 1. So what you have right now is a possible out of 277. And if you wanted to take your total and divide it by 277, it'll give you a percentage right now of what your points are. But I do want everybody to know how they stand by the time we get to like that last week in April. You'll have backfilled all the quizzes you don't have. You will have had some opportunities to get extra clicker points. You can't get more than 30 points. So if you hit 30 and you keep answering questions, I have to go back and manually pull those off, because your limit is 30. Okay. So once you hit 30, that's your 10% class participation that you've earned. Oh, yes, there is one other thing. In the syllabus, I said there's no extra credit, but I will give people an opportunity to do this. So let me show you how you can do that. It's not a lot. It's 3 points, or 1% of your score. I will make this a big announcement, just as I will make the opening of all the quizzes. You may notice on your calendar there is online course evaluation starting on April 7th, running through April 21st. If you fill out an online course evaluation for this class, ASAP sends me an email with a list of all the students who have, and I will add 3 points to your highest exam score if you do that. So I know nobody's writing this down, so they'll probably get a lot of emails. What's the extra credit point about? During the online evaluations that you can see here on your calendar, if you fill out a course evaluation, and please, I don't care about whether it's good or bad. The reason I'm doing this is our department, no, actually it's our dean of the College of Sciences says we're not getting enough course evaluations. So last semester was the first time I gave 3 points extra credit for an evaluation, and it did seem to get more to come in. I have mixed feelings about that, because it's like I'm asking you to do a course evaluation. I am in no way asking you for a good course evaluation. Be honest, put bad, good, or whatever. Just fill one out, and ASAP keeps track of everyone who completes an online course evaluation. You will see 3 points added to your highest grade when that happens. So I'll probably add a column saying extra credit, just so everybody knows that they've gotten it. So if you're a freshman and you don't know what's going on, you will be inundated beginning on the 7th with complete course evaluations, complete course evaluation, complete course evaluations. Isn't that right, upperclassmen? You will hardly be able to escape being asked to do a course evaluation. It's not as much a big deal for me. I'm a full professor, but for assistant professors and associate professors looking for promotion, they have to collect those scores in order to be evaluated for coming up to tenure. So I'm trying to think the link for the online evaluations. Does anybody have a quick reference for that? It's either might be on the bottom of the ASAP page before you log on, or. Okay, so the online course evaluations, if you go to ASAP and log on, there you'll see a link. I think it might be at the bottom or somewhere of that page. You'll see a link for course evaluations. Just put my name in and you'll see it. They're totally anonymous. I don't really look at them until, after grades or everything are in. They don't even release them until then. So it's just something that most professors are going to look at later on, see what happened, what went well, what didn't. So, all right, now, got questions? Okay, so go ahead and, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't have to do with the course evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
For the test that they'll be up online as well, right?
The what? The
test banks to compare see what questions we got wrong.
I don't put the original exams up there. I put the answer keys up there, which are the PAR scores. I have them here if you want to take a little extra time. And I keep your exams in my office for a year. Be nice if people came by my office. I've been sitting there twiddling my thumbs. I've had a record number of people not showing up for my office hours. It's like, okay, all right, I understand, but they're not there. So I'll leave a little time here for you, and I'll also probably bring them back on Friday and let them out here at the front so you can take a chance to look at it. So, so your final, I view it as a third exam. It's 50 questions on chapters 5 and 6. So questions are not cumulative. Your knowledge is cumulative. People do the best on the third exam. I think alcohol is pretty straightforward. You may have never met a cocaine addict or a heroin addict, but most people have met an alcoholic, someone who's addicted to alcohol. So there's an intuitive, more sense of knowledge there. And you know that I'm going to ask you, how do the drugs work? What's the mechanism of action? What are withdrawal symptoms? What are side effects? So by now, you kind of get the feel for what I'm going to be asking you on the exams. The Chapter 5 notes are not that extensive. And then Chapter 6 is the hallucinogens, LSD, psilocybin, mescaline, marijuana. Some people, once they get their 30 points, stop coming. I had a student ask me, do I have to come after I get my 30? And it's kind of like it's a dagger in a professor's heart, because basically what it's saying is, your lectures suck. I hate to go to class. As soon as I get my 30 points, I'm out of here. So I was like, oh, please don't send emails like that, So even if you don't use your 30 points and you're not planning on taking the final because you have 2 exam scores that you're satisfied with, I think these are the most interesting lectures for the class. So I will put that out there for you. Okay. It's going to be on Chapter 5. And then Chapter 6, I think most young people have an intuitive interest in LSD, psilocybin, and all that kind of stuff, and marijuana. Most people know a marijuana smoker, okay? Or they are a marijuana smoker. Okay, and plus a lot of interesting social issues happening with marijuana in the United States now. Okay, so take a look at all this. I will be posting the extra credit points. You'll see a line here for during the evaluations. I will add from the 20th to the 27th, all quizzes will be open. So if you miss them then, I can't really help you. I've already had some students coming in saying they have to get an A or they have to get a B. Well, that you knew at the beginning of the semester. So your decisions you made in the course of the semester are now your responsibility. I can't earn the grade for you. You have to earn your grade. So.
When can you do the evaluation?
It is beginning April 7th through the 21st. All right, I'm just going to do a quick introduction to alcohol. I'll ask your clicker question for today. And in terms of the clickers, there's really only 3 things that could happen. You see a green light, which means I got your response. You see a red light, means I didn't get your response. Or your clicker turns off when you vote, which means your batteries are low. So you wouldn't have sent a vote that time. So not a lot of options there. All right, chapter 5, kind of an interesting drug, alcohol. It is a drug that it's liquid at room temperature, and most people are going to take this drug orally. You don't hear a lot of people IVing alcohol or inhaling alcohol. So one thing that's very important for you to know is that all the alcohol that I will talk about is ethyl alcohol. If you get it in big jugs, sometimes manufactured as grain alcohol. We used to have big jugs of ethyl alcohol in the lab. You can use ethyl alcohol as a disinfectant. It kills bacteria. You can use ethyl alcohol in an engine to run a car. And people also drink ethyl alcohol to get intoxicated. So very unique. I haven't talked about any other drugs you can put in a car. It's not going to work with hashish. I can't drive that car on that. But this is an interesting drug. So I do mean only ethyl. If you drink something like methyl or isobutyl, like rubbing alcohol, very toxic. This is toxic enough, but you don't want to go the other ones. Exam question, this is the most widely abused psychoactive drug, and it is the oldest. It even outdates opium in terms of people using it. It is formed by a natural reaction in nature called fermentation. So I'm just going to show you a quick image here of fermentation. You have a solution which contains sugar, and that sugar can come from fruit, it can come from grain. And if this is a solution with sugar, you throw in some yeast. You can do a little arrow into there. And that's going to start the fermentation reaction. The yeast will eat the sugar. For every molecule of sugar the yeast eat, they make 2 molecules of ethyl alcohol and 2 molecules of carbon dioxide. So for your exam, you don't have to know the formula. I provide you the formula so you can see that there are carbon-hydrogen bonds in sugar. That's where you get energy. And there's also carbon-hydrogen bonds in ethyl alcohol. That's how your body burns it as fuel. So there are calories, about 100 calories in an ounce of alcohol, energy stored in ethyl alcohol. That's not the case for any other drug. So just know, solution of sugar in maybe probably water, throw in some yeast. The yeast will do the job for you and make ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. With fermentation, you can get up to about 14%, and then you're going to kill the yeast, so you can't get beyond that. So that's a limit. So for thousands of years, people just had fermentation. We don't know who the first human was who bent down and saw that there was some fruit that had been landed in a puddle of rain. Yeast are everywhere, and they sipped that solution that was ethanol, and that was the first Homo sapien who experienced the effect of ethanol. I'm sure it happened a long time ago. So about 14% are your limits. Different fermentation products can have different colors, flavors, aromas, and that's all from congeners. These are things that are left over from when you ferment. If it's fruit, it's the leftover part of the fruit that the yeast, of course, wouldn't be eating. If it's beer, you can use grain, like barley, to make beer. That's going to have a distinctive congener to it. And you should know that if you have a bad reaction to some alcohol, that might be because you are actually allergic to some congener in there. So congeners can contribute to severity of hangovers. If you can't do red wine without getting a tremendous headache, that means you're allergic to a congener called tannin that's in red wine. It comes from the skin of the grape. If you can't do beer without bad headaches and feeling sick, it's because you're probably allergic to hops, which is an important flavoring in beer. So just remember that. The purest type of alcohol would be something that's clear, like vodka, where you haven't added any, there aren't any really congeners left in there. So if you have problems with drinking alcohol, that would be one, because it doesn't have the congeners, you may not have as bad a hangover, particularly if you're allergic to something that's there. Okay. That's actually enough of this. I want to introduce you to this chapter. I'm going to go ahead and set you up for your question. Okay, we just gave you this. Oh, hang on, let me stop that. I was not happy with me doing this. I know, it's because it gave me that message saying unexpected problem occurred. So let me go ahead and... Okay, let me try this. I'm going to try and open it up one more time here. Every once in a while it gets a little unhappy. Okay, it's not going to let me do this. All right, I'm going to have to ask you this question. I'll have to double up on Friday. It says here the application is now quitting because it's had a problem when I first opened it up. So let me go ahead and stop this. Sorry about that. It happens every once in a while. If you want to take a look at your original exams here, I have forms A, B, and C. The PAR scores are laid out, last names A, B, C, D across the back, E, F, G, H along the side, and then across the front here is N through Z.
Are you going to be in your office tomorrow?
Yeah, I have a class from 8:30 to 11:30. I'll be there, and then I have a class at 11:30 to 12:30, and I'll be there after that.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Wait, you have your office hours today, correct?
Yes, I do have office hours today.
Like, if there's a way that someone kept the points or whatever.
Can you get me some, like, just, you know, some official paperwork I can put in my excuse thing?
Yeah, I'll give it to you on Monday.
Okay, all right. Just bring it to me, and then you can get the credit.